ahead and get started. It's about 5 after 5. So a few more people may join us, but I don't want to wait too long. I'm excited to get cooking. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Emma. I am the nutrition coordinator at Project Share. And since September now, we have been popping on Zoom and having Slice of the Month virtually. I've had so much fun cooking with you all. I always look forward to these Thursday nights. And, my goal for these classes is to have fun, to let it be social, and to learn new recipes together. If you're cooking with me today, fantastic. If you're just choosing to watch, that's great as well. You should have the recipe if you picked up ingredient bags or it was included in the email sent out to you. So if you make the recipe later, send me an email. Let me know what you think. For this class today, feel free to jump in, ask questions, but just to kind of minimize interruptions. If someone else walks into your house or whatever and is talking to you, if you could just keep yourself muted, it will make it easier for all of us. But unmute yourself, ask questions, participate, share your cooking tips and tricks and all of that. So we will get cooking. The recipes we're making today, we're making 2. The first is a skillet turkey taco salad. And then, so before I go on to the next recipe, this recipe, you're probably picking up on some habits of mine. I hate doing dishes. And so a lot of times the recipes I'm choosing are one dish and one cutting board. So this is like a 1 skillet meal, as well as it's pretty quick. It will be, under 30 minutes from start to finish. So it's a nice meal for a day you do not feel like cooking, or you don't have a lot of time, or it's nice for days like today where it's beautiful outside. And so you might not want to spend a lot of time in the kitchen. You just need a quick dinner and then you can go on and enjoy your day and your evening. So that's the first recipe. And then the second recipe is a berry balsamic fruit salad. So it has blueberries and strawberries in it. And then just for a fresh twist, we're going to add some balsamic vinegar as well as some basil. So my theme for tonight is healthy eating for blood sugar. This topic to me is really important because diabetes is so common in America, and diabetes really impacts your health. And healthy eating is a huge part of either reducing your risk for diabetes, or if you have high blood sugar, controlling your blood sugar levels. But this topic really works for everybody because healthy eating for diabetes is healthy eating for everybody. So even if you don't have diabetes, I think you'll really like these recipes. But as we go throughout this demo tonight, I'll kind of be highlighting certain foods that have been associated with lowering risk of diabetes. So I'll just be pointing that out. But just to put it in perspective, in America, 1 in 10 adults has diabetes. And so even if you don't have it, you probably have a friend or family member who has diabetes. So it's nice to know, what is healthy eating to manage your blood sugar? And then 1 in 3 adults in America has prediabetes. That's a lot of people. Right? So really healthy eating for blood sugar is important for everybody. So I'll be throwing in some healthy eating for blood sugar tips tonight. But let's start cooking. So we are going to make the skillet turkey taco salad first. So what you'll need for this is you'll need a little bit of cooking oil. You'll need 1 pound of lean ground turkey. You will need some taco seasoning. If you picked it up from Project Share, it is pre-portioned for you, the amount you need. We're gonna use a can of black beans, a can of corn, and a can of diced tomatoes with green chilies. And then you'll need some lettuce. And then for toppings, we'll do plain Greek yogurt and some salsa. So hopefully you have everything in front of you. And then I feel like we're always starting with this first step is turning on the skillet to medium heat with a little bit of oil. And then while that heats up, we're going to go ahead and dice our onion. So I'm going to turn on my skillet to medium heat, throw a little bit of oil into my pan. And then I'm going to start dicing up my onion. I got an interesting onion. It kind of was like two little ones stuck together. So I kind of split it up and I'm going to chop it separately for this step. So I'm just being careful of my fingers as I chop this up. But as I chop this up, oh, Nancy, I think you're muted.
I think
I said that's called a Siamese onion.
Oh, okay. A Siamese onion. Making it fun to cut up.
Yeah.
Nice.
Is there any kind of unflavored lactose-free yogurt? I mainly have that, but you know, I mean, lactose-free milk yogurt. I've also had the oat or the soy.
Yeah.
But is that okay to use in this recipe as well?
Sure. Absolutely.
I mean, it's usually flavored, unfortunately.
Right, right. I mean, Pat, another topping idea for you could be like avocado or guacamole.
Oh, I love that. Yes.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be. A lot of times I use plain Greek yogurt as a substitute for sour cream. But you could have, leave that out and just go ahead and use guacamole, as another topping idea. So,
Well, actually, too, Lactate, I just found, does do sour cream.
oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah.
It's amazing the variety of substitutions there are out now. It's really, I mean, these food companies have done their homework. really made a lot of changes there. All right, so my onion is diced. I am gonna go ahead and add it into my skillet.
I have a question. Where did the person who said they found dairy-free sour cream, where'd they find it? What is it?
I found it at Giant. It's Lactaid, the company that makes lactose-free milk. And
Yes.
yeah, well, they also now have put out, well, I just noticed it for the first time last week, or a couple weeks ago, actually, I got some, and you can't taste the difference from regular sour cream.
Oh, that's good to know. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Great.
How many good tips on this site when we meet?
I do. That's one of my favorite things about these classes is everyone kind of brings in their little tidbits, and yeah, it's always nice to learn something new. So my onion is starting to saute, and then the next step will be once we saute the onion for about 3 minutes, we'll add in the ground turkey, brown it a little bit, and add the taco seasoning. But as we wait for that, I just wanted to start talking about these healthy eating tips for blood sugar control. So I'm going to share 3 tips tonight, and basically where they're coming from is the American Diabetes Association. So every year you know, a bunch of experts who spend their professional career researching diabetes, treating diabetes. They get together and have this consensus report and put out recommendations. And so the most recent one had 3 recommendations. And hopefully they sound familiar based on if you've been coming to these Slice of the Month classes. This probably isn't going to be super new for you because it's general healthy eating. But the first one is eat more non-starchy vegetables. So we talked about this last month as well, but one of my go-to recommendations for healthy eating is at lunch and at dinner, fill half your plate with vegetables. They can be canned vegetables, they can be frozen, they can be fresh, but eating vegetables is such a powerhouse for our health, and it's particularly good for healthy blood sugars. So as you can, fill half your plate with vegetables. One thing I always notice is, let me just give these a stir. One thing I always notice is if you ask somebody what they're having for dinner, at least this was in my family growing up, what are you having for dinner? And people are like, oh, I'm having chicken, or I'm having beef, I'm having pork. We always mention the meat that we're gonna have.
Yes.
And then vegetables are an afterthought. You know, we're lucky if we find a bag of steamed frozen veggies in the back of our freezer and we can pop that in the microwave really quickly. Or if there's a bag of baby carrots in in our fridge, or a bag of salad, and we kind of throw that on the side. You know, vegetables can be an afterthought for our meal. And so, you know, find ways to get creative with vegetables, to make them a centerpiece of the meal, to find ways that you really enjoy them. So you love making half your plate vegetables instead of it being like a chore or an afterthought. So what's nice about this recipe today, because we're making this into a taco salad, our base is salad greens. So just by default for this recipe, half of our plate is going to be vegetables by the end of this. So make half your plate vegetables at lunch and dinner. It's such a good tried and true tip for healthy eating.
My mother used to always say, it's not a meal if there's no meat.
Right. Yeah. And you know, that's definitely, many of us probably grew up eating that way. So
meat, potatoes, and vegetables were an afterthought.
Right. It's definitely a different way of thinking. Somebody told me once, you know, and meat is the main dish. But can you think about meat as a side or as a condiment on the side? It's such a different way of thinking, but it's healthier for you. It also saves a lot of money as well. So
I had some homemade beef stew the other week, and I found myself saying, this has too much meat in it.
Oh,
I wanted more carrots and potatoes. I'm like, there's too much beef in here. And I would have never said that years ago, but I just didn't. I would have liked it with more vegetables.
That's music to my ears. So if you're cooking with me, go ahead and add in your 1 pound of lean ground turkey into the skillet. And go ahead and just break it up. So you're mixing the onions and the ground turkey together.
While you're doing that, may I say something, Emma?
Absolutely.
This is talking about a diabetic diet. Some years ago, I had a friend who was quite overweight, and it was suggested that she go on a diabetic diet. I mean, just following, you know, what the American Diabetes Association says, as you're telling us. She lost weight, not fast, and she was able to keep it off and was back to a, you know, satisfactory weight just by following this particular diet. So it has you know, multiple uses besides someone afflicted with diabetes.
Absolutely. Yes. Thank you for sharing that story. It really is a healthy way of eating for everybody. And I think about it quite often because, you know, I know in my family, a lot of family members, you know, in generations above me have diabetes. And so it's really common. And so I know genetically, I have a higher risk of diabetes. So even though my blood sugar now is healthy and I'm active, you know, I think about it because I want to be doing everything I can for my body to kind of, you know, reduce my risk as I get older. But it's, yeah, it's healthy eating. It's healthy eating for everybody. So half your plate vegetables. So then the second recommendation is cut back on added sugar and refined grains. So when I say refined grains, I'm talking about white bread, white pasta, white rice, you know, sugary cereals, things like that. So the reason we say this is cut back on added sugar and refined grains is when your body digests those foods, it's like pure sugar into your bloodstream. And then your body has to scramble to deal with all that sugar that you just put into your bloodstream. So being really careful about that is really, really important. So hold that thought. If you're cooking with me, go ahead and add in your taco seasoning into the skillet while you continue to brown your turkey. So I'm going to go ahead and add this in. You feel free, you don't have to use all the taco seasoning I gave you. Know your preference and your spice level, but you might want to like scale it back a little bit if you don't want something like super spicy. So just a little warning for that. So you can go ahead and add that in. I think I'm going to use about like 2/3 of it. So, and then stir that all together.
Recently, I started making my own spice mixes.
Yeah.
I made my own taco seasoning and a few other blends. It's pretty easy to do.
Yes, if you have like all the spices in your house, it's definitely nice to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great idea. So once that's added in, go ahead and grab your can of corn. Make sure it's rinsed, as well as our can of beans and the diced tomatoes. Throw all of that into your skillet, and we're gonna let our turkey mixture simmer for about 10 minutes. And then I'll get back to my thought before. So with cooking with me, you know too, I'm a pretty big fan of canned items. I'm always watching sodium content because I do want to keep sodium low, but I love the convenience of canned beans. And beans are one of those superfoods for diabetes and for blood sugar control. So I'm always finding ways to add beans into what we're eating. So I'm just going to add everything together and mix it up and let this just simmer and let the flavors mix together. If you want, you can add some salt and pepper for your liking to your taste, but we'll just go ahead and let this come up to a simmer and let all the flavors blend together. All right, perfect. Keep an eye on the time.
Emma,
Yes.
I appreciate the economical. It's a really economical meal too. It looks like it makes a huge amount as I'm cooking it, and I have 3 boys.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate it.
Perfect. Yes, absolutely. This is a meal that goes pretty far. If you're not cooking for 3 hungry boys, it also freezes really well. So if you're cooking for a smaller crew, take what you don't eat, take what you're not going to eat in the next few days and put it in the freezer. So that can be an option. I also think it's like a dump meal because it's using like whole can of corn, a whole can of beans. You know, when I was packaging these bags for pickup, I really only had to measure the taco seasoning. So it's quick. And if you have kids, teach them how to make this if they know how to use the stovetop too.
Emma?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, there's our mascot.
Frankenstein,
Oh,
he's here to help me.
I see. That's so cute. I love that. I love that. Okay, so we were talking about, before I dumped all those ingredients into my skillet, minimizing added sugar and refined grains. So added sugar is everywhere in the foods we're eating. Start to pay attention, start to read food labels. So as of about a year ago, every single nutrition facts panel started having to include added sugars on it. So like if I hold this up, under total sugar, it has to list added sugar. This is so helpful to know because added sugar is in unexpected foods. You know, it's in a lot of condiments or things like barbecue sauce, salad dressing, marinara sauce. It's, you know, it's obviously in our sweets and our candies and our cookies, but it is in almost everything. So get really picky about reading food labels for added sugar. And as you can, pick products that don't have added sugar in them. So for example, at the grocery store, when you're looking at pasta sauces or marinara sauce, pick up a few different containers that are the same price and pick the one that's affordable, but also doesn't have any added sugar in it. So saving yourself that added sugar throughout the day can go a really long way. Every so often, I'll kind of challenge myself and say, okay, for 1 week, I'm going to eat no added sugar. And I'll read every single food label just to remind myself of how much added sugar is out there. And I would rather not get added sugar in like my salad dressing so that I can eat some chocolate at night after dinner, right? So I want to be picky about where my added sugar is coming from throughout the day so that when I'm eating sugar, it's really a treat and I'm really enjoying it. So start to pay attention, but read the food label for added sugar. When you're looking at the ingredient list, there's something like over 200 different types of sugar. So if you're reading the ingredient list, it can be hard to like catch it. So that added sugar tab in the nutrition facts panel is really, really nice to find and to follow. The other thing to note is try not to drink sugar sweetened beverages. There's some foods that have been associated with an increased risk of diabetes, and things like soda, you know, really sweet tea, a lot of juice, things like that have been linked to an increased risk. If you remember, this number always blows me away, but if you were to drink a 1 bottle of soda every day in 1 year, you would drink 54 pounds of sugar. That's a lot of sugar, right? Next time you're at like a BJ's or a Costco, whatever, look at their bulk bags of sugar, and that's how much we would be drinking. So be really careful. Choose more often than anything water, sparkling water, unsweetened drinks that don't have any sugar in them. It does wonders for your health. So minimize added sugar, and then choose whole grains over refined grains.
Could I raise
Emma?
my hand?
Yeah.
Can I raise my hand for a second?
Yeah, what's up, Joe?
One thing that's as bad, if not worse, is high fructose corn syrup. If you ever see anything on a label that says fructose corn syrup or high fructose corn syrup, avoid corn syrup at your peril, because that was just created by the corn industry to sell more corn by creating this syrup, which metabolizes even worse in the body.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Nancy, were you going to say something as well?
You're making me feel guilty because I'm drinking a mango Pepsi.
Are you?
And it's very good. I usually don't drink soda that isn't diet. And when I do drink a soda, it's rare. But I heard about this mango Pepsi and it's very good. I also found the coffee Coca-Cola.
Oh,
And there's supposed to be a Peeps flavored Pepsi out there somewhere.
Nancy, you're not helping.
Yeah, I know, but I'm feeling guilty, but I don't drink it often. And this is probably the only mango Pepsi I'll ever drink, but it's good.
I love soda.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't drink anywhere near as much as I used to.
the key word there was rarely. You rarely
Yes.
drink soda. So frequency matters, right? Are we drinking a soda every single day? Or is it like a very rare treat that we're having it? So, frequency matters, consistency matters. This is why I really like, I don't know if any of you drink often, but sparkling water. So my sister used to be a really big soda drinker. She worked for a sub shop for a while and would get free soda when she worked. And so she got into the habit of drinking soda while she was working. And then when she no longer worked there, she was in the habit. So she really liked that fizz and carbonation. So I was like, you should try sparkling water. And it took her a little while to adjust to the taste. It's not as sweet, so you have to get used to it. But she really likes the carbonation now, and she rarely drinks soda anymore. So, finding those substitutions that you enjoy the taste, but, and leaving that soda for a rare treat. But really, like, there's very few foods with like direct correlations between, drinking it often and diabetes, but like soda is one of those. So
But is the carbonation good for you?
It's okay. Yeah. It's really
I didn't think it was.
The carbonation would only be an issue if you have like gastric reflux. It might be an issue for some people, but for the most part, it's might cause you to burp a little bit, but
it bloats me.
Okay.
I get bloated if I drink carbonation.
Okay. Yeah. So notice how your body responds and feels. I'm gonna turn this down. All right, so this is getting close to being nice and simmered. So I'm gonna go ahead and chop up my lettuce for this. And then, this just has to be like a rough cut. I did wash this already too. And you can use any lettuce that you have on hand. I grabbed romaine hearts is what I'm using. I like when there's a bit of a crunch for a taco salad, but use what you have on hand. I mean, you could do spinach, you could do kale, use whatever is most easily available for you and whatever your family is going to enjoy the most. But just a really rough cut all the way down. And while I do this, the third tip from the American Diabetes Association is eat whole foods, whole minimally processed foods, and avoid highly processed foods. So again, we've been talking about this. Processed foods tend to be high in added sugar, high in sodium, high in saturated fat, which are just tough on our body. It's tough for our blood sugar, it's tough on our hearts. So the more whole, minimally processed foods we can eat, the healthier it is for us. So number one, make half your plate veggies. Number two, really be careful about added sugar and refined grains. And number three, eat whole foods. So that's why this meal, like I said, we're making half of our plate veggies by making this a salad base. So that's meeting that first standard. And then for something sweet at the end of the meal, that's why we're doing the fruit salad instead of a dessert. And then all the ingredients we're using are whole, minimally processed foods. So even though we're using canned corn and canned beans, the only ingredients are corn and beans, you know? It's not like there's 15 ingredients on that. So I'm using that convenience of canned goods, but they're still whole foods. So I'm gonna go ahead and just move over my salad. So if you are building your meal to eat now, you can fill up a plate with some of your salad greens, and then we will pull the turkey skillet off the stove so that it's done cooking while we go ahead and make the fruit salad. So let me just turn this off heat. Have my
Emma,
yes.
I think when I make mine, I'm going to add some black olives, some brown rice, and cilantro, and I'm going to make lettuce wraps.
Ooh, I love that idea. That's a great idea.
Yeah, I think I will do that.
That sounds delicious. All right, so let's go ahead and
I wanted to add that for my particular taste, I wanted more tomatoes. So I opened up another can of diced tomatoes and added a little bit more tomatoes to make it a little more moist.
Perfect. I love that. Yeah, I mean, for those of you who have been cooking with me, you know, like take these recipes as a base and run with them to
Right.
preference. I only ask you keep it healthy, right? I only take. So I'm just gonna go ahead and start dicing up my strawberries. Like I said earlier, everything is already pre-washed, so that, you know, has been done already. But as I do this, I just wanted to point out diabetes superfoods. So a lot of times when we're talking about healthy eating for blood sugar, it's really easy to focus on all the foods we shouldn't be eating. You know, you've probably heard people say that before, you know, I don't eat anything white anymore, or I had to cut out all these foods. And, you know, that is an important part of healthy eating for blood sugar. But at the same time, there's a lot of incredible foods to include into our eating pattern that support our body and our health. And so one of the handouts that I included in your ingredient bag, as well as included in the email, was a list of superfoods for diabetes. And again, this comes from the American Diabetes Association. And then take notice of how many of these foods are in these recipes today, right? So superfoods for healthy blood sugar. Number 1, beans. We have black beans in today's recipe. Beans are an excellent source of fiber, which makes them really heart healthy and also helps with blood sugar control. Dark leafy greens are on the list. We have citrus fruit. If you were in February's class for the heart healthy topic, citrus is also really great for your heart. So that shows up a few different times. Sweet potatoes are on the list, as well as berries, right? So we have strawberries and blueberries in this recipe today. It's also berry season is coming. It's so soon. I always get so excited for June when strawberries just taste amazing. So we're getting close. And also for distribution next week, we're giving out frozen blueberries. So you could use frozen blueberries in this recipe as well. Tomatoes are on the list. So we also have tomatoes in this recipe. Fish high in omega-3s makes the list. Nuts, whole grains, and yogurt makes the list too. So plain yogurt, that's another reason why I'm doing plain Greek yogurt as the topping for the salad instead of sour cream. So this is a nice list of foods to include that you should, you know, feel really good about feeding your body these foods, that it's going to work to support you, to, you know, help support healthy blood sugar levels. But as I was coming up with these recipes for this class, I was trying to sneak in as many diabetes superfoods as I could into these recipes. So we did a pretty good job of, you know, we have yogurt, we have tomatoes, we have beans, we have leafy greens, we have berries. You know, there's a really nice list there. So keep this list handy and, you know, pay attention to all the foods that you can eat instead of focusing on all the foods you have to restrict or hold back on. So let's finish this, this berry salad. So I have my strawberries and my blueberries, and then we're gonna go ahead and add in 1 tablespoon of balsamic vinegar. And then you can actually go ahead and add in just a little bit of olive oil as well. It kind of cuts a little bit of the acidity of the balsamic. It doesn't need a lot. And then the last piece is adding in a little bit of fresh basil. I love the smell of basil. I think it's one of my favorite smells. And it adds just like a really nice fresh flavor. This fruit salad, it doesn't last super long in the fridge. So eat it for dessert after your dinner tonight, or if you still have some left over, it tastes really good spooned over plain Greek yogurt. So if you want a really fancy breakfast tomorrow morning, take some of the leftover Greek yogurt from the salad and spoon this fruit salad over it for a really nice dessert. So that's it. It's nice and simple, but really just taking fresh spring and summer flavors and mixing them all together for a nice you know, a nice sweet side for after that. So I'm just going to go ahead and add a little bit into, I have a little side dish here next to my salad. And then I'm going to go ahead and build my salad, my turkey salad. These recipes are easy, right? Hopefully you found it easy to cook along with me today. I'm going to go ahead and just add some turkey on top of my salad greens.
I just want to say the basil smells awesome.
Yay!
Oh, the basil is just, I love basil. I cook once when it's nice enough to do a garden, I put it in a pot because I live in a condo, and I'm constantly out there picking leaves off the basil, constantly. I love it.
I was a little bit nervous that the basil wasn't gonna last until Thursday because I bought it on Tuesday and it can go so fast. But I packaged it in just like a dry paper towel, and at least mine held up pretty well. So hopefully the basil that you got held up okay as well. But just like a dry paper towel, I wrapped it, put it in a baggie, and it seemed to hold up okay. So I'm definitely going to be.
Mine was wilted, but it tastes good.
Okay.
Emma, I don't know if I told you all, I discovered something I'm binging on lately. At Aldi's, they have red raspberry flavored oranges. I guess they're a type of blood orange, but they are so good. And I think I'm going to try some of them in this fruit salad.
That sounds amazing.
Oh, yeah. They are so delicious. They're just a hint of a raspberry flavor to the orange, and it's good.
I love that you're all foodies, you know, like it's so fun. I love trying new food and flavors. So for those of you who are not cooking, I just wanted to show you, it's kind of hard to hold up the plates, but here is my taco salad.
Looks great.
And here
yes,
my fruit salad. So, you know, combining them together, it's a nice, like light but filling, refreshing meal for spring months, for summer months. It comes together very easily. And hopefully you like the flavor of it. So at this point, any questions, comments?
I want to say something that you've gotten me addicted to, and that is the avocado oil rather than,
Yes.
I mean, I do use olive oil as well, but I really have been enjoying the avocado oil, and that might be nice on the fruit salad too.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
I just started using it this year and I like it.
Nice. Yeah. I've definitely noticed it's easier to find.
Mhm.
Yes.
Common and easier to find, but it's really great for those like high temperature cooking. So it's nice on the fruit salad, but like when I'm roasting vegetables and things like that,
Okay.
it's high smoke point
Yes.
that it's not going to go bad when you're using it to cook. So I really like it for that.
It's a little milder too than the, extra virgin olive oil for that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for sharing. I love that. Great.
Another thing, Emma, when you all were talking about soda, my husband was diabetic and I did get him on the sparkling water. But the other thing that helped us stay off of the sodas was that I think it takes calcium out of your body. And so I, one summer, I made it through the whole summer with only having one soda the whole summer because I was determined not to be losing calcium, because anybody that's postmenopausal has to be more concerned with that.
Yes.
I really like the infused water too. You infuse it with cucumbers or with fruits or whatever.
Oh, yes, yes. That's good.
That's very good.
Very good.
Erin, I see your hand up. What's up?
My sister and I love the sparkling water, but I'm also really, really in love with kombucha because I used to also be addicted to soda, diet soda especially. But like kombucha, it has sugar, but like it doesn't have very much sugar, and it has so many probiotics that like it's delicious. I'm
I
trying
like
to
it
convince my
too.
mom of that.
And Erin, you mentioned probiotics. So the reason why yogurt makes the list for superfoods for diabetes is because of probiotics. Having a healthy gut, which, by eating foods rich in probiotics keeps our gut healthy, is really phenomenal for our blood sugar. So I love that you mentioned that. It can be really fantastic for our health.
Well, I just took
Emma?
a bite of my salad and it is wonderful.
Good. I'm glad. Well,
Emma,
yeah.
is there any carbohydrates in the blueberries and the strawberries?
That's a great question. There are. So because they're fruit, they will have carbohydrates, but they're high in fiber. So your body's going to process that a little bit more slowly. As well as they tend to be a little bit lower in carbs than some other fruits. But really, when I'm looking at carbohydrates, I'm looking, fruits are going to be, a healthier source, beans, whole grains versus like sugar, candy, sodas, things like that. And I should have the nutrition information on the bottom of every recipe. So if you are somebody who's watching your carbohydrates, whether you're carb counting for blood sugar control or whatever reason, all the recipes do have the nutrition information. So one serving of the berry salad has 16 grams of carbohydrates. That's a great question. Yeah. Right. Well, I don't want to keep you too long from eating. So one thing before we go, the next Slice of the Month class will be May 13th. And then as we usually do, we'll take a break from the cooking classes over the summer. So we'll have one more Slice of the Month over Zoom on May 13th. So hopefully you can come and join, and then stay tuned for whatever the fall brings for Slice of the Month. So, but it's been great cooking with you, and I hope you enjoy your meal.
Well, thank